You'd think a network that gave us Bones and House would know how to treat a good show. But Fox has a reputation for killing off smart scripted TV shows way before their time. Whether it was comedy gold, gripping drama, or something gloriously unclassifiable, Fox has dropped the ball more times than we can count. So in part 2 of our video series on shows Fox should be ashamed they canceled, we're focusing on the scripted comedies and dramas the network gave up on far too early. And to keep things neat, we're listing them in chronological order. Get a Life. Get a Life was pure chaotic brilliance. Following a 30-year-old paperboy who still lives with his parents, the show gleefully threw sitcom rules out the window. One episode had aliens, and at least 2 ended with Chris's character dying, only for him to be completely fine next week. It was absurd, darkly funny, and totally ahead of its time. Naturally, that meant it gave Fox cold feet. And after just 2 seasons, the network pulled the plug. But Get a Life went on to become a cult classic, and if it aired today, it would 100% be labeled brilliantly weird. Prophet. Before anti-heroes were mainstream, Prophet dared to center an entire show around a full-blown corporate sociopath. Jim Prophet was a smooth-talking executive who manipulated, blackmailed, and occasionally murdered his way up the ladder. It was twisted, stylish, and unlike anything else on TV at the time. Which is probably why Fox freaked out and canceled it after just 4 episodes. Critics loved it, but audiences weren't ready for that level of corporate psychopathy in the mid-90s. Still, Prophet has earned its place as a wild, pioneering show that was just too dark for its time. Undeclared. Undeclared was Judd Apatow's follow-up to Freaks and Geeks, and like its predecessor, it was hilarious, heartfelt, and tragically short-lived. Set during freshman year at a fictional college, the show follows Steve Karp and his awkward, lovable group of friends as they navigated dorm life, hookups, and existential crises. The humor was sharp but relatable, capturing the weird, uncertain space between adolescence and adulthood. But Fox couldn't figure out how to market a college comedy and canceled it after 1 season. Undeclared remains a fan favorite and a reminder that Fox had no idea how to handle Apatow-style comedy gold. Andy Richter controls the universe. This one followed Andy Richter, a frustrated technical writer whose rich imagination hilariously spills into his dull day job. The show constantly broke the fourth wall, jumped between real life and surreal make-believe, and poked fun at corporate nonsense with razor-sharp wit. It was clever, quirky, and full of charm, but sadly, that wasn't enough for Fox. After multiple time slot changes, just 14 episodes aired before the show was canceled. Critics loved it, viewers who actually found it loved it, but it never got the audience it deserved. Arrested Development. It's hard to overstate how far ahead of its time Arrested Development really was. This was a show that treated viewers like they were in on the joke, layering gags, callbacks, and punchlines into every scene. The Bluth family was a perfect storm of dysfunction, and Jason Bateman's deadpan straight man anchored a cast stacked with comedy gold. But despite critical acclaim, Fox just didn't know what to do with it. The network shuffled it around, gave it bad time slots, and eventually canned it after 3 seasons. Thankfully, Netflix revived it later. But for fans, Fox's original mishandling of this comedy masterpiece still stings. Lie to Me. Lie to Me had Tim Roth doing what he does best, being intense, unpredictable, and incredibly watchable. As Dr. Cal Lightman, a human lie detector who could read micro-expressions and body language like a book, Roth gave the show its edge, part crime procedural, part psychological drama. The science was inspired by a real-life deception expert, which added a layer of cool credibility. But Fox, in classic fashion, couldn't commit. The show changed showrunners, had scheduling issues, and was eventually canceled after 3 seasons, just as it was finding its rhythm. Lie to Me deserved way more time to grow. The Finder. A Bones spin-off with a Florida twist, The Finder was a quirky procedural with a lot of heart. Walter Sherman had an uncanny ability to find anything or anyone, thanks to a mix of intuition, pattern recognition, and maybe a bit of head trauma. The show leaned into its tropical setting and had a supporting cast that felt instantly likable. But despite a promising setup and potential for longevity, Fox didn't give it much of a chance. Canceled after just 13 episodes, The Finder had all the ingredients for a cult hit, but Fox yanked it before it could get there. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Fox gets zero credit for this one. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was one of the smartest, funniest sitcoms of the 2010s, a workplace comedy wrapped in a buddy cop show, packed with heart and led by a hilarious ensemble that never missed a beat. Jake Peralta was goofy perfection, but the real magic was how the show balanced absurd comedy with sincere character arcs. It gave us iconic characters, Halloween heists, and Die Hard references for days. Fox dropped it after 5 seasons, and the internet basically exploded. Luckily, NBC swooped in and gave it the final 3 seasons it deserved. But seriously, canceling Brooklyn Nine-Nine? That's a network decision so bad, even Doug Judy would disapprove. The Last Man on Earth. The Last Man on Earth asks the question, what if the apocalypse hit and the only survivor was Will Forte? Turns out you'd get one of the most inventive sitcoms of the decade. The show started off with Forte's character, Phil Miller, goofing around in a deserted world. But then it pulled the rug. Other survivors showed up, and the show evolved into a brilliant character-driven comedy about community, survival, and awkward interpersonal drama. It was hilarious, yes, but also surprisingly bold with its storytelling. Fox let it run for 4 seasons, then canceled it on a massive cliffhanger. Rude doesn't even begin to cover it. The Grinder. The Grinder had a killer comedic duo at its center, and somehow Fox still managed to fumble it. Rob Lowe played a TV lawyer who, after his show ends, moves back to his hometown and decides he can practice real law based on what he acted on screen. While Fred Savage starred as his very frustrated lawyer brother, who was the perfect straight man to Lowe's Hollywood delusion. The writing was clever, the tone meta, and the chemistry immaculate. But instead of leaning into its charm, Fox pulled the plug after just 1 season. The Grinder wasn't just funny, it was one of a kind. And canceling it felt like malpractice. Pitch. Pitch was groundbreaking. A drama about the first woman to play Major League Baseball. It wasn't just timely, it was important. Kylie Bunbury was magnetic as Ginny Baker, a rookie pitcher thrust into the spotlight while breaking gender barriers and dealing with media pressure, team politics, and personal trauma. It looked like a sports show on the surface, but it had so much more going on. Critics loved it, and the potential was massive. But Fox benched it after just 10 episodes. The move left fans heartbroken and reminded everyone that even shows with purpose aren't safe from the cancellation acts. Honorable mentions. Before we wrap, let's raise a glass to a few more Fox shows that didn't get the spotlight but still left their mark. Tribeca was a gritty, critically acclaimed drama anthology canceled after just 7 episodes. South Central tackled real-life issues in LA with honesty and heart, but Fox pulled the plug far too soon. New York Undercover broke barriers as a hip, diverse cop drama and still doesn't get enough credit. Skin was a scandalous and short-lived show that dared to tell a modern-day Romeo and Juliet story. Kitchen Confidential had Bradley Cooper playing a bad boy chef years before The Bear made it cool. Lone Star was critically adored but axed after just 2 episodes. The Chicago Code was a sharp, layered cop drama that deserved a longer run. Enlisted was heartfelt, hilarious, and full of charm, a military comedy with a lot of soul. Red Band Society told a powerful coming-of-age story inside a hospital, but Fox pulled it before it could find its voice. Backstrom gave us Rainn Wilson as a cranky genius detective, and then yanked it away. Star served up glitz, music, and drama from the team behind Empire, and had way more story to give. And The Mick? A wild, unhinged comedy that was equal parts trashy and brilliant. Canceled too soon, just like the rest. Prodigal Son. Prodigal Son was deliciously dark and wickedly entertaining, a psychological thriller that felt like Hannibal with daddy issues. We followed Malcolm Bright, a criminal profiler with a deeply twisted edge since his dad is a notorious serial killer. The dynamic between father and son, equal parts disturbing and oddly tender, was the heart of the show. Add in snappy writing and a murder of the week format that felt fresh, and you had one of Fox's best genre dramas in years. But nope, canceled after just 2 seasons. Prodigal Son had passionate fans and tons of story left to tell. Fox just couldn't see the potential staring them in the face. Do you agree with our picks for the dramas and comedies Fox should be ashamed they canceled? Or are there any shows you think absolutely deserve a spot on this list? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and be sure to check out part 1 of this video series, where we dive into all the sci-fi and fantasy shows Fox canceled way too soon.